What is up, my sweet friend, Miss Braelyn Baker? Thank you so much for joining me on Sports Spectrum What's Up podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I am so excited to talk to you, Braelyn. This has been a long time coming. So I can't wait to hear just about what you've been up to, the success that you've been having, and all the things track, and just also the Lord's light in you because it shines so bright, even from just being far away from you geographically right now. But I love to start every podcast with, what are you all about right now? Because I think it's really fun to know what people are super into at the moment. So, what is Braelyn Baker all about right now?
Man, I have always been about and I continue to be about C.S. Lewis, reading in my free time, which just I would have never thought as a student athlete in college I would have free time, but Duke has just been so well balanced and I have had pockets of time to do reading and my coach is a really big reader and so getting to with C.S. Lewis and just, all these amazing authors. I've been learning so much and I've been into that recently.
That is an amazing thing to be all about. And it's cool too that you said, I didn't know I'd have this free time because you do and you don't, right? You're like, I
Yeah,
do have this
exactly.
window, right? I love that. I'll have to take you up on that advice. But my memories of Braylon Baker growing up were going to ballet with Braylon and Brielle, her older sister, and you loved animals, man. You loved animals. So maybe we could talk a little bit about that. But when did track really come into the picture for you?
Oh man. Well, my sister really paved the way for me. She was just such an amazing example growing up. Just as an older sister, just I was just blessed with such an amazing example in so many different ways. And one of them was athletics. Like you said, ballet growing up. I love ballet. And then I got to a certain point where you get to a certain level, it gets pretty long hours. And I had just found out about track. And, I was like, "Okay, I have to make a decision on what I'm gonna do here." But really what it was is my sister going into high school wanted to take track, seriously and had a group of people and got a club coach. And, I would be sitting in the car with my parents dropping her off every day. And I was like, "Oh man, that looks like fun. I have to be out there." But it was a high school only team. And so, every practice I'd be sitting in the car. I was like, I need to get out there. I need to be in high school right now, even though I was in 5th grade. And so, my parents ended up asking the coach if I could have permission to join since my sister was on the team, and I got that approval. And so I ended up just being a rabbit, for the team. I'd be sent out, 70 meters in advance and get hunted down. And I honestly think that it really instilled like this just love for the sport because it wasn't all about the competitiveness or the individual, like I gotta win this. It was more just like I want to see how fast I can run and just try to better myself and recognizing that the Lord has given everybody an individual gift and what glory is it that I'm able to enjoy the thing that he has given me a gift to do. So yeah, it's really developed over the last couple years. But it started in 5th grade.
That is such a cool story, and it's wild too because you're just peeking out the window at the car being like, "That looks so fun, like, I
Yeah.
wanna do that." I absolutely love it. I'd love to know, like, when was the moment when you realized, "Well, I'm pretty good at this."
Oh, man.
And it
Well,
might
I
not have been
gotta
you, maybe it was somebody else that was like, "Braylon is really fast."
Well, let's see here. I mean, I have always loved running, and I don't even know necessarily if I would be doing anything different with my life if I wasn't, seeing success or results. I just love it so much, but it is a blessing that I'm able to, try to progress every year. I think that it honestly started out on the recess field playing tag with all my friends. I have memories of preschool running out of the classroom and running out into the field and with all my friends. And yeah, it's just always been a love that I've had. Yeah, I truly believe that the confidence and humility are the same in Christ. So to be able to say that I'm, good at something is, I want to say that with a grain of salt because, we all have our gifts and talents, and I'm really thankful that it's mine's brought me to Duke.
That's incredible. I have this picture in my mind when you said just running out to recess of you, literally running out to recess. Like I can just see it and it's so precious and also just cool at the same time because you're a baller. Like you really are a baller. And so it's so cool to just see how that like joy from your sport has really been able to translate into getting to run in college. And so you're from Seattle, but now you're at Duke, very far away from each other. Why did you choose Duke?
Well, the recruiting process was just an honor, to be able to, like, find a program that would work for me, and there were so many things about Duke that made it stand out, and there were so many things about a lot of universities that made them stand out, but really what is important is my spiritual health, because I believe that my spiritual health is going to affect my mental health, which any sport mental health is going to be a huge impact on your results and how you show yourself out on the field or whatever it may be. And when I saw that there was team camaraderie here, I knew that that was cultivated by the coaches. Coach Wilborn, Coach Mueller, my event coach, just amazing, incredible people that really care about their athletes. And when I was able to connect with my event coach on a spiritual level, I was like, okay, I can see my coach as my mentor, not just someone that's gonna, show up from 9 to 5 and tell me what to do out on the team and we go do it and then, clock our time and leave. But this is someone that really cares about how you're doing mentally and spiritually, emotionally, and then when we're out on the track physically. And that just made all the difference. I knew that when I'm looked at as an athlete, I can't just be seen as a flying 30 number or, just an all out rep. Those times show a lot of how you're doing. But your mental and your spiritual aspects, like, they affect a lot. So being able to connect with my coach on that made the difference for Duke.
I think that's so important to just say because there's so many reasons why an athlete would want to go to Duke, right? And I'm sure those were all the reasons on your list as well. But like you said, I need my coach to see me as a human, not as a number. And I think for so many young athletes going through the recruiting process or about to go through the recruiting process, like you have to think about that, right? Because your sport is your love, it's your passion, but it's not always going to be rainbows and sunshines, right? Like it's
Yeah.
not. And so I think that's so important.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible to be able to be a part of a team where, if something were to happen, if you're in a low physically or mentally or spiritually, like you do have resources that are going to bring you up. And when I was looking at other universities, I thought it was going to be super simple. Just visit, see which one checks the most boxes, go to that one. And then they all checked all the boxes. And I was like, okay, I think I wrote down the wrong boxes here. Like, let's really evaluate what's standing out. And it ended up being, Coach Wilborn, Coach Mueller, and the team camaraderie here, pretty special.
Man, I love that. And I do want to hear about your Duke experience on the track and all the things that you're doing there. But I did see you take your track skills to the football field and race a student at a Duke football game. Is that right? Can you describe how this came about?
Oh, what a fun experience. Every year every year they will, volunteer someone from the team, a girl from the team to race just a student, from the crowd, and you don't know who you're gonna race against or anything like that. You just show up, warm up, and hope for the best. It was so fun because it was just a couple weeks into all of the off-season training, and it's like, "Okay, I'm gonna now go for an all-out sprint, in flats out on a turf field. This should be a great recipe for good results." Um, and, uh, it was so fun. It was pretty close, pulled through, but it was pretty close, had great competitor, but it really was an amazing, experience because what an honor, to be able to have an opportunity like that. It's just a good experience in so many different ways. If anything, just being able to run in front of a crowd is just like, okay, we're back on university. We're back, we're we're going for it. We're starting their season now. And then after that, I was like, okay, wait, we're in the off season. I get to go back to off season training.
I can
Um,
go sit back in the stands with my
yeah,
friends.
exactly.
What a fun tradition that your team does. I thought it was hilarious because I can't remember if I had seen it from a that you were tagged in or I just saw it scrolling on my phone, but it shattered through the Hasselbeck family very quickly. "Did you see Braylon? Did you see Braylon?"
Oh, I love it. That's so
Absolutely love
sweet.
it. Like, what a fun I just love too when schools have that kind of bringing, "Oh, the women's basketball team's throwing out T-shirts," and, "Hey, this is our hockey team," or, like, showing, like, the other parts of the university while at a football game. I think it is so
Yeah,
fun.
it's very special. So
So I'd love to know just that's clearly a memory that you have with your team as they're cheering you on, running on the football field. But what's been one of your favorite memories just with your team so far this year?
this year, oh, wow. There we just the team camaraderie that we have is so special because we are friends on and off the track, which is very special because it's an individual sport and, I have experienced, cultures, with teams where, it's so competitive that it can really seep into, how you treat each other, and here we absolutely just we want everyone to be the best version of themselves. And so we have had lots of adventures off the track, which I just love that we have the opportunity to even have free time, that we make free time to do that and see each other. We'll go to the movies. That's one of my favorite memories so far this year. Being able to just all pack in a car, go to South Point Mall, raid the candy section, get your Slurpees, get your Coca-Cola, sit down and enjoy just the movie for a couple hours and then head back to campus and even having little traditions, like little things every single week where we try to make home baked goods and we try to go for an adventure off campus, whether that be hiking or just honestly a nice drive getting froyo and singing worship music. I mean, there's just so many fun things that we do together. I do have to say that stands out. I have a really special group of girls and on the team, and we'll drive on Thursdays. We try every Thursday, but we drive on Thursdays to get froyo and just play our favorite worship music of the week, and it's just the best time ever.
That I want to join the Duke track team. Come on. What the heck? I love it. That is so fun just to have like the opportunity to do that. And you need people on your team who are willing to be like, yeah, let's go do something different, right? Like some people athletes, it's easy to get in this mode of like, I'm gonna go to practice, film, workout, lift, game, go in my dorm and shut my door and, like, watch
Yeah.
TV and go to bed. Like, it's really easy to get into that mode, but I think you're gonna get the most out of your college experience when you're going to do fun things like that with your teammates and really getting outside of just the one thing that you're doing on campus. But let's talk about running because I know that is something that, you all are a baller at. You run the 4x4, the 400 hurdles, 200 you said, and the 60, which is really the 100. So you're doing a lot, Braylon.
Yeah, I thought that I was gonna have to just, pick one event and, at some point it's gonna be about, fine tuning and seeing really what I can do in one event. If Cindy McLaughlin is any example in the track and field world, it just shows that, you can conquer one thing, you can experiment in one thing and a different one and then return back and conquer even more. So like it's a fluid, just world with track. It's always evolving what event you're gonna do, but it has been incredible, having the opportunity to do, short sprints, mid distance, adding in some hurdles, being a part of the relay pool with the 4x1 and the 4x4, just incredible girls. And being able to like really rely and support each other because even though it's an individual event, when it comes down to the line at track meets, it's a team sport. We wanna support each other. We wanna bring in points for the school, for our team, and it's fun having that balance.
So cool. And I want to go through the 400 hurdles because that is a hard race. It's hard to watch. Your whole time you're like, okay, like that is it's hard for the spectators. I can't even imagine what that is like for you. Can you describe the game plan that you have for that race?
The game plan for the 4 hurdles, again, it's always evolving every time you conquer one thing, with one cue, it's moving on to the next cue. And so right now I'm working just purely on technique, which is a really fun part of the race to work on. And, yeah, I mean, coming out of the blocks, it's all about just you use it or you lose in the first 50 meters, like, let's go attack this and let's go get it, and, after that, it's all about your race plan, in between every hurdle. 10 hurdles, it's so fun to just have a pattern, know what you're supposed to do, and once you do it at practice, it's like, "Okay, we can now do it on our own at practice, low intensity, let's go do it with adrenaline." That'll make it a little bit easier. And so actually with the 400 hurdles, the track meet is the reward. It's so fun. With a lot of events, the track meet's the reward, but for the 400 hurdles, it's special. As soon as you get to have that adrenaline, really get to see everything play out, you'll never lose a race if you're walking away with something that you learned. And there's a lot of learning when it comes to the 400 hurdles.
That's such a great quote. I'm gonna write that down and use that. And I do have to wonder, do you count down in your head 10, 9 when you're going through the hurdles, or do you like it's just muscle memory? You already know exactly what you're doing.
I absolutely count out loud when I run. It's something I'm working on. But as a former long jumper when I was younger, I would always count my steps. It would be just 16 steps and now I'm counting to 15 and I'm just, as soon as I go over the hurdle, I'm like 1, 2, 3, 4. And I actually there's this hurdle drill that we do, just a 4-step drill. I'll have a teammate and I will be doing it at the same time right next to each other. And we crossed over and she looked over, she goes, "Were you counting out loud?" I was like, "I sure was." Didn't really need to that time, but I think it's just habit now.
Hey, whatever it takes, right? Whatever it takes. But that leads me into something I'm super curious about is just the self-talk that you have during that race, right? You're way faster than a minute, but it's practically a minute, right? By the time that you're done.
Uh-huh.
And what does that look like for you? What are you saying? Maybe not always out loud, but what are you saying internally?
Yeah, going into any race, I am just reminding myself to just trust and obey the Lord. Just know that the work that you've been putting in is it's going to cultivate God's will. I want to be done. And so I pray that everyone on the line has their best race. Along with that, I pray that I have my best race along with all of them.
I was gonna say that's
Yeah.
that's a dangerous prayer, Braylon,
I
but it's
know,
the
but
right thing to
then
do.
yeah, it's that I grew into that over time. But I do have to say that it gives you that confidence that the Lord's will is going to be done when you cross that line. And something that I've been really growing in this year is, I mean, I've learned so much while being at Duke so far, but whether it's visualization beforehand, journaling beforehand and afterwards, not only at track meets, but at practice, making that, just a habit of your life, not just at a track meet, has been really important. And with that, and with my C.S. Lewis readings and everything, something that really stood out from Lewis was talking about emotions and sensations, which it's sports psychology completely backs it up. I was just introduced to it by C.S. Lewis, but the idea that human beings have way more emotions than sensations to feel those emotions. And so it really is just psychology that when your heart is racing, your hands are a little bit sweaty, it, you might be nervous, but it's also the same feelings that you will be getting when you have a lot of joy. And so, it's really just how you perceive it in your mind. So just reminding, naming it, claiming it, your emotions and how you feel, really made a big difference with the 400 hurdles because it is really simple. I mean, you have so much time to be thinking, and if you're telling yourself that you're nervous, then you're going to convince yourself that you're nervous. So why not just, translate that into joy? It's the same sensations for your body. So just name the emotion. And that's really big.
I know what you're gonna do after school. You're life coaching. I love it. That is so good. And it's also helpful to take into I have a big test. I have a big exam coming
Hmm.
up, right? Or oh,
Absolutely.
I got to have this hard conversation with a friend. Like all those things, you can bring it into the other parts of your life, which I think is so cool. But last season, you did become the ACC Track Freshman of the Year, which is just what an honor. I'm so happy for you, but I'm sure that that did not come easy, right? We're here talking about the self talk and the game plan and just the intensity that you have to take nerves and turn them into joy. So, when you look back at your first college season, what was maybe the hardest part for you?
I think, let's see here. The hardest part for me was probably just staying consistent with my communication. I'm a really big communicator. And when it comes to track and field, every practice, everything you do off the track with your recovery, that matters. And so being able to communicate with your coach and with your teammates really what's going on in your life really makes an impact because if you were to adjust the workout to do something differently, you could have, done the workout that was originally planned and not be able to go 100%. And that's not going to benefit you as much as altering the workout and being able to give 100% in something else. And so being able to communicate that and um, uh, how that ended up coming up in difficulty was actually when I got injured at the beginning of the season. I was doing a time trial and I was going over a hurdle and I fell and fractured my foot. And, it was just kinda one of those moments of it was the first, it was the first injury I'd ever really experienced, and it was just kinda this moment of like, "Okay, I'm not invincible. Ankles are not titanium. I think I need to, like, take some deep breaths, and recognize that, like, this is part of God's plan. It's gonna be okay. What can we learn from this?" And so really being able to communicate clearly every practice, like, "No, I think that this is actually gonna be good for me," or, "This actually doesn't it feels slightly uncomfortable. I don't really know if it's a discomfort that's gonna, make it worse or just something that I need to take, but let's consider it at least." And so being able to communicate that and, within, a couple of weeks, being off the bike and a couple weeks after that out on the track and a couple weeks after that competing and getting PRs is just like, okay, this is to God's glory. This is all his doing because my body's not capable of doing that on its own. So
That's one of the hardest parts, I think, of being an athlete is when you have to yourself be really take the lead on an injury because you never want to pull yourself out because number one, you love the sport. And number two, I've been in situations where I know that if I don't play, I'm going to lose my role or I'm going to lose the opportunity. And it's really,
right.
you hold these two things when you're like, I know what's probably right for me to do health wise. Like, can I push through? Like
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
difficult. I think leaning on your faith in those moments is huge in understanding, like, okay, what's the long term goal, right? But yeah, I think just as an athlete, like that's a hard thing to do because sometimes I would feel like it was almost easier when I would go through an injury and like on a piece of paper it said this and I had to do X, Y, and Z and like that, no question about it, right? But when it's up to you, it can be really stressful.
Yeah, I agree.
Braylon, I'd love to know just about this transition for you from high school to college. What helped you really just through that transition?
I have to say my living saints as a parent as parents, they are my verbal journal is what I call them. I've learned to journal, here at Duke, and I would say that gets about 5% of my emotions out, and that's a lot. That's a lot of emotions. But I need my verbal journal. I need to be on the phone with my parents, and I need to update them. They need to hear about my 8-hour day, and I will take 9 hours to talk about it. But that really made the difference. I didn't plan, I didn't try to, get across the country, but the Lord, led me here, and I'm really happy to be here. But that was, I think, a really big change, and going into freshman year for any university, I mean, you could be one street over from your house. It's gonna be a big change. It's not your bed, you're not under your roof, that you're used to. And so recognizing that and talking about that with my coach, that was a really big part of one of our first meetings. It was, let's talk about goals because if my coach is training me as an athlete that just wants to get through their freshman year, not be hurt, still have a love for the sport, and then return the next year, but I'm as an athlete training for the Olympics. Like we're working towards different goals and I need to be trained for something that and for my goals and that really made a big difference being able to have that conversation and recognize we're on the same page and then be trained for my goals. I think that made a really big difference in my season. And as a freshman I would have been super pleased to try to get back to where I was in high school, but to, have the honor of going through so many life changes and still get personal records and still see progression. It's exciting. And I'm really excited to just, carry that and see what God's going to do within the future. It's pretty fun.
Braylon, I'm gonna steal that from you. Verbal journal. I'm gonna be, oh yeah, you're my verbal journal for the day,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just start speaking that over different people. But you did mention the Olympics, and I so believe that more than anything deep down for you. I'm so just hoping that for you in your future. But you did get to compete in the U20 World Championships with Team USA over the summer in the 400-meter hurdle. So I'm glad we actually talked about it in
Yeah.
Peru.
Yeah.
Number one, just how was that experience?
Oh, how incredible getting to travel with the team and get that experience of what it's really like to represent your country and to go somewhere and just know I'm here to just do the best that I can do and see if I can contribute to this team culture. So exciting, so fun. I absolutely loved it. Learned so much, and I hope to carry those experiences into the future with whether it's NCAA or something world class. I just if the Lord opens up a door, I'm gonna run through it.
You are gonna run through it, and you looked good in the USA, I will say, but I can imagine just the also the intensity of that, right? Because it's so cool, you have USA across your chest, but there's also a lot that comes with that. So how did you lean on your faith maybe in that specific competition?
Yeah, I really had to lean on him because I was out of my jurisdiction. I was in a new country, didn't know really like how everything was going to be set up, how we were going to be brought out. Didn't, I mean, down to like there's regulations, but down to the blocks, like what is it really going to feel like? It's fun to be able to return to tracks that you've competed at before because it really, once you compete at a track once, it's ingrained in your brain and in your memory. And so every time you get to go to a new track, it's super exciting, but there's also a lot of emotions wrapped up in it. And at something so world class, when you don't always have access to really work out on their track beforehand, they'll have a practice track, but once it comes out to the real competition, it's like, okay, this is new territory. Let's go see what we can do. There's just like, there's so many emotions running through it, but just knowing like, even if I'm saying like, although I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'm not going to fear any evil. It's just like I know this is just a track meet at the end of the day, but it's really, it's important to lean on him with all your own understanding. And something that our athlete Bible study's really been pouring into is not growing weary and doing good. Sometimes, your results don't really always represent the effort that you're putting in. But Apostle Paul reminding us like don't grow weary in doing good. Like it's so applicable in all areas of our life, including athletics, I think.
That is so beautifully said, and I think that's like the struggle as athletes, right? Like you're not always going to get the outcome that you think you might deserve or you think you might, and we don't deserve anything, number 1, but you think you might could have had. And I think having that reminder is so important because that's what we're called to do, not just in our sport, but like helping your roommate out,
Yeah,
like being
exactly.
kind to your classmates, like even if being kind to your teacher, if you're like, oh, you gave me a bad grade, like really, like all the silly things and whatever it really is, you're taking so many incredible life lessons and applying them to your life at Duke. But you did mention just your Bible study, and I know you're involved with Blue Devils for Christ, which is such a funny name to me when I say it out loud. I'm like, it is the
I know.
mascot. Okay.
Yeah,
But it's
I
a
know.
student athlete Bible study at Duke. Can you just describe what this group is like?
Oh, it is so incredible. Having a group of people that you can really break down walls and really, you know, I guess connect with each other spiritually really protects you mentally, which in any sport is going to affect you athletically, physically. Whether it's on the field or on the track, from a pool, wherever it's going to be, your mind is going to be affecting you. It has a huge impact. And so, whether we're in Galatians talking about do not grow weary in doing good, or we're in Romans and we're saying, don't let the body don't let the mind be guided by the body because that means death, but let the body be guided by the spirit. And it's just all these different connections where we're able to really help each other see our own sport from a different sports perspective is huge. And something that I've been really inspired by with my team recently is just their curiosity. We all come from so many different backgrounds, and I strongly believe in never assuming that you know what's going on in the life of the person sitting right next to you. And with having such a big team, it's really easy to just get in the mind of like, oh, we're all Duke athletes and we all go to class, we all come to practice, but at the end of the day, we all have very different stories. So being able to come to a safe space and really open up and seeing teammates, share their curiosity and just really, iron sharpens iron, just building off each other is incredible.
Well, Braylon, Duke is so fortunate to have you. And I think what you just said is huge because you might spend 9 hours of practice and go walking to class with your teammates and other athletes at school, but that in no way means that you know exactly what's going on in their brain, in their heart, in their life at home, like all those things. And I think it's so important to remember because you might see all of them, but you don't always know all of them. And that's why I think going to Blue Devils for Christ and in your athlete Bible study and even just doing life with each other, like going to coffee and having real deep conversations just about how they are doing spiritually and mentally is so important because you get into this routine of, okay, I've been with you since 5 a.m. Like, I know everything about you and I see you when you sleep. Like, we're literally
Yeah.
roommates, but like, you might
Yeah.
not know, right? Like, you might not know really what's going on. And so I actually remember one of my years in college, I'm in dorm room. I can literally touch my roommate. That's how close our beds were. Like we were in a small room. And we had this moment of just really opening up to each other about the hard that was going on in our lives. And it was like, "Oh, you're going through that? I'm going through that. Wait, what?
Yeah.
We never talked about it." And it's because we just assumed that we knew each other because we saw each other. And
Yeah.
I just think what you said is so important and it's so valuable. But man, I'm so excited to just know more about what's really going on with Duke and your experience there. But I would be crazy to end this podcast without asking you about gearing up for your sister Brielle's wedding this summer. So, what are you most excited about for this wedding?
My goodness. I think I am really excited to just see my sister after all this hard work. Being able to prepare for your wedding is such an exciting time, but she's also in the period of her life where she's working on her dissertation for her doctorate. And they're just two so exciting things. And they're, culminating to finish at the same time. And I just know that by August of this next year, I'm excited for her. I feel like I'm living through her and all of this, I'm really excited.
Me too, Braylon. Me too. So it's fine.
I love it. Yeah, I'm really excited for her and Derek. I mean, they are just they're such kind souls, and I just know that, their lives together are just gonna bless everyone around them, so I'm really excited for her.
I am so excited, and I'm excited to see you in person. So fun. But Braylon, thank you so much for just taking the time to talk. This is like such a gift, and I am so excited to point more people to you to cheer you on this season, indoor, outdoor, USA, all the things that you have coming up. But seriously, thank you so much for joining the podcast.
Thank you, Annabelle, thank you for having me.